The show is back with special guests Jill Higdon and Leanne Buckman, the co-founders of Focus Foundation's pediatric therapy located in Pembroke, Mass. As a father of 3, I was already a big advocate for OT, so it was great to learn about their new practice. Please bear with us for a slight audio issue at the beginning and enjoy the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Potter Buchanan Show. Super excited about my 2 guests today. We're with the co-founders of Focus Foundation's Pediatric Therapy with Leanne Buckman and Jill Higdon. How are you guys today?
Good. Doing well.
Awesome. So I'm super excited to talk to you guys. My oldest actually did OT. It was feeding therapy, but it was huge for him. He had a lot of trouble eating solids when he first started out, and it really was a game changer. So I'm a huge advocate and fan of OT. If you think there's something that your child is lacking in or try to excel at, or really anything, it's always good to try to give the best to your kids in areas you see that they might be slower than expected. But I'm curious your guys' journey, how you guys both got into it. Was it a passion before school? Is it something you found along the way? Or I'm curious your path.
Yeah, sure. So I figured out I wanted to do OT in high school, actually. So I knew I always wanted to work with kids. That was first and foremost priority, looking into college and things. And I thought about teaching. Didn't really want to managing a class of 30 kids.
Yeah.
So the OT or one-to-one relationship-based care really appealed to me, as well as the sciences. I always loved the sciences, those classes. So it actually ended up that my mom went to school for OT.
Oh, wow.
For a year, decided she didn't like it, and then went to teaching.
That's funny. The opposite.
Went in the opposite direction, and then fell in love with it in college and got my graduate degree, and here we are.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about you, Jill?
Okay.
All right.
So I initially went to college for physical therapy. I've always had a passion for children and childhood development. I've always known I wanted to work with kids. And then so I did 3 years in PT school, and I was doing a minor in psych. And I went in for, a yearly review with the advisor there. And he said, well, it seems like you really have a passion for, again, childhood development, physical function, but when it comes to the psych piece, that's not really physical therapy, that's more occupational therapy. And I had never heard of occupational therapy before. I had never needed OT, so that wasn't just something that was readily available. And then so I did a couple of classes, sat in on a couple sessions, and then realized oh no, this is definitely the field for me. So going into my 4th year of PT school, I decided to switch. Which I thought my parents were going to lose it over, but they were very supportive. And then, did an undergrad, grad school, OT. And then, I've been in the field 10 years now, a little over, and love it. Never going to leave outpatient for sure.
Wow. 10 years. That's a long time. And so was there specific areas you can go in? It's you're not a doctor, but it's sort of it's therapy. You're helping kids. Was there a certain path you had to choose for a specific type of OT, or how did that work?
I wish. You graduate OT graduate school as a generalist. So I had equal education in pediatrics, which is where the entire time I knew, and it sounds like Jill too, wanted to focus on. I had the same education in treating burns and treating spinal cord injury and psychiatric disorders, and really ran the gamut. So it wasn't until after graduate school where we really got to focus on continuing education courses that we both independently sought out to sort of get that pediatric focused area.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
I was going to say the same thing.
All right. So for your particular practice, Focus Foundations, I mentioned my son went to therapy for feeding, but he kind of they do other stuff in there too, right? They take them through some of the, you guys have the gym set up within your practice, which is a beautiful place, by the way. I was there for the opening. If everyone should check it out if they get a chance. But what specifically do you guys help kids work on within your practice?
So me to start? Sure.
Wow. So kiddos can come here for honestly any reason. Where like you said earlier, we're not doctors, we're clinicians, and we're trained in a really broad scope within the pediatric world. So I often just tell parents, like, whatever you're seeing day to day, that's a challenge or that, your mom gut is telling you is really hard and shouldn't be this hard, come to OT for. We can certainly support and identify maybe some underlying things that might be impacting their function. Like you mentioned, your son with feeding, sounds like there was some underlying oral motor stuff that he had to work on. And to do that, you have to go in the gym and work out all your big muscles that help those small muscles develop. So we really try to listen to the parents, hear what their concerns are. We do an evaluation, we see where the child is, and then kind of like meet them where they're at and help them develop those skills, whether it's emotional regulation, feeding therapy, sensory processing, executive functioning. Like we can really touch on just about anything. But a lot of the times we have to see how our big muscles move, how we problem solve, how we plan, how we get on and off equipment. Part of a child's occupation is play. So we want to see how they play with this equipment. And then that gives us information of how their body functions, how their, like I said, their cognitive function. And we can kind of tailor a treatment plan to meet the child, the family, and the goals for what they're wanting for an outcome.
And just to cap off that, one of the first questions that I think we typically ask parents when they have an intake with us or in an evaluation is like, if you had that really elusive parent magic wand that you could just wave and resolve something, whether it's tricky meal times or kid can't get along with friends, really hard time losing, like what is it about your day to day that is just like, oh my gosh, snap my fingers and this could be better. And odds are, like, we're trained. It's called task analysis as an OT's bread and butter. It's really looking at feeding or handwriting or getting pants on as more than just the task. It's the balance, it's the coordination, it's the core strength. And we're trained to be able to do that pretty quickly and for a lot of different areas of a child's development.
Okay. Yeah, and I was texting with Jill before. She said it was very broad, which it is. Like the amount
Yep.
of things that you can like look into is kind of crazy. So your message to a parent is essentially if there's something that they kind of like as a parent, we see our kids every day, we know where they struggle. If it's something where they think they're really behind in this like simple task or thing that they should be able to do at their age, no matter what it is, feeding, I mean, physical, then that's something that they can essentially approach you guys with, and then you can kind of figure it out from there.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And you wouldn't necessarily, I mean, you could certainly talk to your pediatrician about it and see what they have to say. And while we love pediatricians, they are looking at if the child is meeting their milestones or meeting the expectations for their age, not necessarily how well the child is doing it. So we also look at like quality of function. We want to make sure that, if something is consistently like a sticking point at home for this kid or at school or in the community, and they're just, really not, they're having a hard time getting through it, then you could certainly pop in and do an evaluation or a consultation and just get some feedback on like what's going on and then how we can best support. Often we see kiddos who are, not necessarily the kids that are struggling in the classroom. Maybe they're masking through it and then coming home and crashing at the end of the day. And the parents are like, why is this so hard? Like, why are they napping all the time? Why are they struggling through this? And so we can help find those underlying pieces that could be impacting function and give strategies, tips, and therapy to better support the kid.
Awesome. I think that's a good summation. So I'm super curious about like the entrepreneurial side of it. Like you guys got your bootstraps and like started your own business. Like what did it take to like get that going? I not only from like it's a big like it's a risk, it's kind of scary, but like a business aspect. Like yeah. What made you want to do that and like kind of what did it take to get it going?
For you to say, the time and the risk, Jill and I started this process back in January. I had my son end of October. So I was like 2 months after welcoming my son, my first,
Yeah.
and basically being like, yeah, no better time to take a giant financial and life risk than when you have a new baby to care for. But ultimately, I think for Jill and myself, like our family was the driving factor. Like it was being able to be flexible in our schedules, being able to, bring our kids to the clinic to play, being able to, work with another young mom who is equally as passionate about child development and, supporting our boys to grow up in a really fun and awesome environment with a present and happy mom was a huge driving factor. And then all of that wrapped up in Jill and I are just so passionate about all of those like foundational pieces that we were talking about. And to be able to do it on your own and to do it yourself has been great to like build our clinic from the ground up in a way that is able to execute the caliber of therapy that we want to. And that's just been like the most fun part, in addition to all the risks and scary parts that are a lot less fun to think about.
Yeah, Leanne and I got laid off and then decided, well, I don't know if we decided, but then we got pregnant with our third. So I'm familiar with the
You
the
just make
scariness.
it work, right?
Yeah, you just keep
You
going.
have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was it, you obviously have to secure like the space. It needs to be like large enough, get a LLC, and then the health insurance stuff is probably difficult. Like what was the hardest part, like actual tactical part about starting the company?
Well, so first we had to have a name, and then we filed for an LLC. And then I don't remember the steps after that. It was kind of a whirlwind. I think we got like a tax ID number, all these
Yeah.
other things. But once we had all of that established, there was like certain check boxes for because we're also considered a health facility. What is it called? A medical facility,
Mhm.
right? Is that yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, you can edit that out. We're also considered a medical facility, so we had to have like certain boxes checked in order to find a place. And then we also had to find a location that allowed for pediatrics. Not every street in town can have a business that allows for children. Has to be certain like zoning areas in a town. So that's a whole nother set of hoops we had to jump through. But thankfully, actually, like the first place we toured, it worked out. We saw a couple other places after this, and it really didn't seem to like it was going to fit our clients. And
This has the kitchen already. We didn't need to do any building out, tall ceiling.
yeah, so it was kind of
Yeah.
like moving for us.
Meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like the space. And I think we were talking about this a little, Jill, but like follow up where we can just do like an in-person and kind of show people what it's like to go through the exercises, show the space because it's a great space. But I love what you guys are doing. So where can people like find you and how do they get enrolled? How do they reach out? Like, what's the process for that?
Yeah. So we have a website, Focused Foundations, pediatrictherapy.com. Our information is there with our phone, our email. We have an Instagram, we have a Facebook account, LinkedIn. We're putting ourselves out there. So you can certainly reach out that way. We currently accept Blue Cross and Mass General Brigham for health insurance. So if you have one of those insurance and you're in network with us and it's pretty seamless. We're still waiting on Harvard Pilgrim. You asked what the most frustrating parts of starting this. It's wrangling the insurance companies that we originally reached out to back in February.
I would think that's
Yeah.
my mind was just like the health insurance companies has to be an absolute
Yeah.
debacle.
It's not fun, but it's making us be a squeaky wheel, and it's not fun. But yeah, so we're available. Our process is when people reach out to us, we set up an intake call that is complimentary. It's about 20 minutes just chatting about what concerns are and seeing how we might be able to help. And then from there, we typically schedule an evaluation and then see, if services are indicated. But yeah, we're available. We're online. Come
We're
find
on
us.
Amazon. You can find us anywhere.
Amazon, awesome. So what does the typical like engagement look like? You do your intake, do you evaluate how often like you're scheduling visits? Is it like a once a week type thing or it's dependent on needs is what like the commitment is?
Yeah, so it kind of matters. It depends on how many areas the child is experiencing challenges with, areas of development and ADL areas, activities of daily living. And then that kind of gives us an idea of how much support they're going to need. So anywhere from once to twice a week is most common. So yeah, that's kind of, and then we bill through insurance for those appointments. For the most part.
Duration for that is, we have some kids who come in and we almost refer to it like a tune-up. We're like, 6 weeks, you're going to be good. And then there's other areas where, it's more just supporting them throughout their development. So Sometimes kids are with us for a really long time, and that's because their needs change day to day. They were once in kindergarten, and now first grade is a little trickier. So it's always collaborative, and it's always a conversation with families, figuring out where they're at, how big their concerns are, if they need to take a break. It's always a fluid conversation.
That's great. That makes a lot of sense. Is there anything else you guys wanted to cover, like about OT in general or your business that like we weren't able to touch on throughout the interview?
Yeah, so we are specialized in a bunch of different additional trainings that we've done. So one of the big ones that we just did was SOS approach to feeding. So speaking of feeding therapy, so we are trained in how to support a child through like oral motor development skills as well as like their sensory processing and just to, be able to eat a broader range of foods. And then so that's kind of like one of the bigger ones that we're implementing. We've also been trained in, so going off the oral motor development piece, TOTS trained. So we work a lot with infants on helping the parents sort of like diagnose if there is a tongue tie or a lip tie or a buccal tie, and how that's impacting feeding. And then we refer out to different dentists in the area. We help with pre-release and post-release, and then just make sure the child continues to meet their milestones. So that's another one of the big trainings that we are certified in. And then to build off that.
Yeah, I mean, and then just really, I think our clinic is really good for just that sensory development. Yeah. We really here are focused on whole child foundational, it's in the name, skills so that we're setting up these really strong building blocks. I always tell parents, like, I don't really care if your kid wants to ride a bike. The reason they don't will never be because they can't. I want every child to be able to have really, really strong foundational skills that we can help integrate so that they can do all of these things that are just normal parts of childhood and they can do them well. And we look at that through a sensory and reflex lens. And that has been really, really awesome for seeing gains and the kids that we serve.
Yeah. We do a lot of like reflex integration and kinesiology taping. So a lot of these things too, like they require extra training and extra specialization in. So we really pride ourselves in not only acquiring those, but also frequently implementing them. So that was
No, that's a great answer. That's what I was looking for, like with like specific types of OT that people can look out for. And I said you guys didn't do the feeding therapy. That was inaccurate, and I apologize for that. Did you have that previously? Because you do have the kitchen and everything, so you can do it right there, right?
Yeah, we do. We provide feeding therapy pretty frequently. We're going to start implementing some groups. And we're bringing on a dietitian, which is really exciting to consult with. So big gains coming there.
Nice. You're growing the staff, huh?
Consultants at this point.
Okay. Still, that's good.
The kids that we have who come into feeding, a lot of times the parents are just really concerned that, they eat 5 things. Like, are they getting nutritional intake? Are they growing? Are they growing how they're supposed to be? So just having someone who can review our evaluations and the information parents are sharing remotely at this point, just to be able to offer that assurance and kind of guide our treatments. There's, limitations to everyone's scope. So just we love branching out to, as Jill said, the dentists. We have PTs that we love to refer to, speech therapists, and getting the dietitian on board is going to be huge too.
Yeah, that's big. I mean, garbage in, garbage out, right? You got to eat well in order to function at all. How much protein should a child have?
Good question. We'll ask our dietitian.
Yeah. We just want to make sure they can eat protein.
Well, that's the constant struggle. It's just like, eat some protein, please. My old, for a minute was like, I convinced him, like, it was like only a week, but like protein makes you strong. And he would like, Dada, I'm eating it. I'm getting strong. But he forgot about that or doesn't care anymore. But we had him for a minute. Maybe we'll get him back on boards
Again.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming on. I think what you do is awesome. I think it's super important. You can be found everywhere, all over the internet, in Pembroke, Mass. We should mention that as well. That's important. But Leanne, Jill, thank you so much for doing this today.
Thank you for having us. This is great.
All right. Bye, guys.